This is going to be a Bitcoin damage report because obviously it crashed to about $59,000 today, give or take. Today was a very devastating day when it came to the crypto market as well as just the stock market. Silver's even down significantly. And there's just a lot of fear going on in the whole market. And I don't think that this is just crypto specific. Obviously, Bitcoin has been selling off much more aggressively. And I kind of just want to hop in here, give you my thoughts because I've been reading a lot of y'all's DMs across the board. And I know a lot of people are lost. A lot of people literally lost everything, apparently, from like what I've been reading, and they're just like very discouraged and depressed. And I understand, and I've been there before. And so I just kind of want to give you guys like some words of encouragement because I know that, it's not the end of the world for anybody here that's going to be watching this video. This is my third 4-year cycle at this point, and I've been investing even longer than that in stock market. And this is not even close to the worst crash that I've witnessed, especially with like Bitcoin. And I remember the first couple times that I actually like took on leverage, even margin, and I got, margin called essentially, or just took on like very irresponsible loans to where I essentially had to cough up that money and lose a lot of my net worth over the, span of the years. And I've kind of fine-tuned that kind of strategy over time. And, I just want to kind of put out this message because I think that a lot of people need to hear it. And, a lot of my people, I would probably guess that they're new to cryptocurrency or maybe just investing in general. So, there's just, no one really kind of gives you the playbook when it comes to this. They only tell you like the good stuff, and they kind of like shine these like shiny, or like basically flash like these shiny objects in front of you guys, right? Making you guys just think that it's all just going to be good and it's all going to be like just good days, green days, all that kind of stuff. And that's not really the scenario when it comes to investing. There's a reason why it's so difficult. There's so much psychological stuff going on. It's quite literally, that's what chart action is. It's basically people's psychology, and that's why you have, fear and greed indicators, macroeconomics, all this kind of just different stuff across the board that all influences everything. And so it's very easy to get caught up in this, and it's very easy also to hop on like the momentum bandwagon. So, there's this kind of not theory, but it's a trading strategy where you trade momentum. So when everything's hot, everybody's just like, throwing money at pretty much anything that has like a hot narrative. And usually what ends up happening is it's kind of just like a game of musical chairs, if you will, where everybody's just kind of like, playing the game, and slowly these chairs are getting removed. And usually the people that never take profits or have no strategy end up holding the bag. And I know that a lot of people on this channel probably, well, hopefully not, because I've been telling you guys don't trade leverage, but I know a lot of people have, or they've done what I would probably consider irresponsible things. Now, that's no one's fault. It's not your fault. It's just a learning lesson. And, it's really hard to, see losses and kind of feel like powerless when it comes to the price action, right? Because whether you're holding spot or you're maybe in like a leverage trade and you're just like, you're down so much and you can't stand the thought of like closing the trade in a loss, and you're just holding on to like hope, right? Like, can this trade turn around so that I can like break even and get out of the market? Same with spot position, same with like basically everything, right? And that you just feel so, insignificant when it comes to like what's going on. That's completely normal, and it's something that you learn to maintain and kind of control over time, and you kind of fine tune this strategy. And, this is going to be like a longer, like kind of, I guess, I don't know. I'll make kind of like a series on this maybe, because I think that the mindset and the sort of approach when it comes to investing is very, very important, if not the most important part, because, nobody really talks about this kind of stuff, right? As I've said. And so you always want to have different kinds of portfolios so that you can mitigate your risk or just kind of control your emotions, right? So you can make something what's called like a long-term, like set it and forget it. So that's just like your bread and butter, right? So like that would be, if we're just talking specifically crypto, maybe it's just like, Bitcoin and like selective alts that you truly believe, no matter what, are going to be here probably within the next like 5 to 10 years, that you don't even really have to look at. And that's kind of like your basket that you're just keeping on the side, not even worrying about it, right? And you can also have like different kind of like portfolios, right? So you can have what's called a swing kind of portfolio where, maybe you're holding on to this for momentum. Maybe it's like a few months to where, you're kind of trying to chase short-term gains with maybe a little bit more risk. And this is money that you're kind of comfortable with, but you can just basically bet that it's going to go to zero at a worst case scenario. And you're going to have like the intention that, obviously if this outperforms whatever your bread and butter basket is, then you're going to convert those and try to accumulate more of that, basket that you're keeping long-term. And obviously you want to keep a very short or small percentage, I should say, anything related to leverage. So if it's like DeFi loans, if it's leverage trading, if it's margin, if it's options, anything like that, just pretend that that's going to go out the door. You're going to lose that money and it's never yours to begin with. And when you approach things like this, you're going to mitigate your risk just by default, right? And you can even like take this a step further and handle the risk based on these different portfolios. Not to mention, you can also do what's called like a hedge portfolio, right? So for me personally, I like to have most of my stuff in spot. Obviously, when it comes to different kind of like price actions, I will trade very low leverage whenever, certain opportunities present themselves, or if I have just more time on my schedule, because I don't really want to be like micromanaging the charts and stuff like that. However, whenever things do typically feel very euphoric, I will typically like to take hedges against my position. So for example, whenever Bitcoin was going, like $120,000, basically actually when it started to hit about like 110-ish, and Ethereum was like getting close to all-time high, that was when I kind of started getting very, very nervous. And so I would just incrementally, I would start creating just like very low leverage short positions, right? So I'm basically trading against my spot position so that way, if the price just goes way, way against me, because, it's not, I don't get everything perfect, right? And so nobody's actually going to ever nail the top. And so when you have something like a low leverage, it's like a 2x or a 3x or a 4x, you can kind of suffer a almost, damn near 25% drawdown, even if like you're at 4x leverage. I don't really recommend that for anybody, but for me personally, I like to, put in probably like 2 to 3x leverage whenever it comes to these sort of hedge positions, because I'm pretty much betting that I'm going to lose them. And obviously, like if you're really, really heavy in your spot positions, you're not going to put the same amount in your hedge short positions, right? Because, this is just kind of like it's just kind of like you're mitigating your risk, right? And in the scenario where there's pullbacks, because there's always a pullback, you can obviously pull profits from those hedges, and you can even add to your spot bags or whatever the case may be, right? There's also, you can do like options, right? So there's like particular stocks. Like I know a lot of people were shorting or basically options on MicroStrategy, because obviously whenever things are going very, very good with MicroStrategy, it's going to go up a lot more than Bitcoin, and then the vice versa on the downside. So they were basically buying a lot of spot Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, etc. And then they were basically either shorting MicroStrategy or, buying puts, all that kind of stuff. And there's just a lot of different strategies that you can kind of play with over time and familiarize yourself with, because there's so much more ways to trade than just cryptocurrency. And obviously Bitcoin and crypto has been the most underwhelming, stressful, frustrating asset class, basically ever since the liquidation event in October 10th, which I still think we're looking through what's kind of going on and nobody really knows what's what. I think that we're never actually going to truly know. I think that someone actually went insolvent. I think that nothing else really explains like what's going on with Bitcoin and crypto, because when you look at the price action, whenever it comes to like precious metals, stock market, anything like that, they're all just going vertical. And ever since October 10th, Bitcoin's just gone straight down. And you have to ask yourself the question why. And that's nobody's fault. And, nobody has a crystal ball, right? Like that's just how the markets are designed to be. And so you always need to caution yourself, because there's going to be a next time, some kind of black swan event, whatever the case may be, there's always something that's going to happen, and you need to be prepared for that. So I don't want to go on too long, but the long and short of what I'm trying to tell you is you need to understand that these kinds of, market fluctuations and just like horrific crashes, right? It's very, very normal. A lot of people are going through it. A lot of people are actually probably even worse off than the person watching this video. I know that, you might have lost all your money or you've zeroed out, and it's still not the end of the world. There's many, many chances to make more money. And the bright side of this is, if we do continue this crazy, crazy downtrend, you're going to be able to kind of hopefully build up some sort of money to start reinvesting into whatever you want to invest in. I actually think that the stocks are also going to present some pretty good opportunities. So I'm also looking over there. And it's just a lot of uncertainty going around across the board. So I think that, don't beat yourself up, take a few days to just kind of relax, maybe find some sort of outlet where you can like relieve your stress. Like for me, I just got back from the gym. I had a late workout. Sometimes I like going for runs. I'll just go outside, talk to friends, all that kind of stuff, just kind of reset, have some sort of outlet, and, just come back and show up and continue to get better and learn. Now, I'm not trying to give like any sort of like financial advice, anything like that. But if you're somebody that just like wants to learn how to trade, I would recommend using like maybe like a prop firm. So basically what that is, right, is you're trading with somebody else's money. And obviously there's different ones. I personally use Breakout Prop. I've used that many times before. Just kind of like a little fun like flyer, because it's like, you can do $60 for a $5,000 account, or like 120 for 10,000, 200 for 25,000, etc. Now, obviously you have to pass the evaluation, but if you lose whatever basically the fee is for the evaluation, you're probably going to lose that anyway. and it teaches you a lot of discipline, right? And so it's kind of capping your downside. So if you do pass this and you're somebody who's like an experienced trader, then you're basically getting access for a lot less money, and you're capping your, your downside, right? So if you don't have a lot of money, there's just many various ways to make money to invest back into the market, right? And obviously, AI is really popping off right now. There's a lot of people making money through that. And so, I think it's a very interesting time. I think it's a very exciting time. I've actually been very excited to see, particular cryptos at specific prices, because I personally have been trying to buy, a little bit on these levels, but, I would not be surprised to see us continue to go down lower. I also wouldn't be surprised to see us just turn the way back up, because crypto is just sold off so aggressively, and it's just how many people are left. And not to mention with that, there's so many people that are just in short positions that are going to have to be paid out if they basically take profits, right? And the exchanges, I think, are, I don't know, call me crazy, but I think that there's a big player that's very insolvent. And so obviously they're liquidating a lot of people, right? And they're shorting the market, but they're going to have to not allow these other traders that are opening up like tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of positions worth of shorts to just profit off of them, right? So with that being said, I know it sucks, guys. Just hang in there. I'm going to continue to update you guys, and let me know whichever like topics you guys want me to cover soon. Again, I'm going to continue this kind of like mindset, just kind of like ranting, just because I know a lot of people are kind of going through it. And I think that, again, psychology of investing, and just like experience behind, feeling emotions and adopting different strategies and going through things, it can be a very lonely space. And so I just kind of want to give you guys a little bit of, a words of encouragement, if you will. So with that being said, I am off to probably just go for a walk, hop in the hot tub, do something just relaxing. It's been a very long day for me, and I know it has been for you. So with that being said, have a great night. Bye.